Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome back to Wall Street Bullion. Our guest today is Michael Piccioni, president at Can-Am Bullion. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on, Ivan.
Yeah, it's a huge pleasure having you come down and speak into the community. I wanted to get you down. This is your first time, so before we get into silver and gold and all the exciting news, what got you into silver and gold industry, and yeah, how did you first get into it? What got you into it?
Yeah, I've been studying the gold and silver market for a couple decades now, so it's been a passion of mine. I've been a financial advisor for a few years, and I was always pushing gold and silver. One day I made that leap into running my own bullion exchange, and I have an online exchange now, a physical walk-in local store as well. So we're a foreign exchange company as well as a precious metals business. But yeah, my true passion is talking about gold and silver and the economy.
Nice. So, first question I wanted to get into is, if you look back just like 2, 3 years ago, gold, it was exciting, but it wasn't as exciting as it is right now. It's making new all-time highs, it seems like almost every week. Silver's creeping up. People, we want silver to get closer to the excitement is in gold, but of course, if you look at the gold and silver ratio, it's like 104 to 1. But what are your thoughts on gold right now and silver, and what do you think for the rest of 2025? Where is it going?
Yeah, gold has all the spotlight right now when it comes to precious metals. It seems to be the real safe haven asset right now. US dollar and treasuries is not cutting it anymore. People are flocking into gold, specifically the big money, central banks specifically. That's really what's been driving the market. It's not the retail market. We see that we have a good pulse of the retail market. We deal with retail customers every day. And to be honest with you, it's very, very quiet. People aren't buying. We're actually buying more gold and silver from our customers than we're selling to them, which is the first time in our 8 years of being in business that that's occurred. It's been about 6 months now. We've been seeing that trend combination of factors, gold all-time highs, so people are cashing in. A lot of these people don't really truly understand the upside opportunity in gold and silver, so they think they're doing the right thing by taking profits. Other people, it's just a tough economy right now, so a lot of people just need the funds. And as far as the retail market not getting into the gold and silver yet, I think it's because stocks are still near their all-time highs. People still aren't completely spooked out of that market yet. I think a lot of people are we're looking at the tariffs as an opportunity in stocks to get back in and to buy back into the market.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're going to see people rush into gold and silver until honestly the stock market really starts to hurt a little more than what we're seeing right now. So I think that will probably lead to people investing into gold and silver a little more aggressively than we're seeing right now.
Absolutely. And Michael, what's your biggest concern in the markets right now? Or not even just the markets, what's your biggest concern that you have your eye on right now?
I usually look at the 10-year treasury market, to be honest with you, and that's kind of indicating a lot of risk. Usually when stocks aren't performing well, people will go into treasuries as a safe haven, but we're not seeing that since the tariffs have come in. The 10-year treasury was around 3.8%, then it went up to 4.5% in a blink of an eye. So that was very worrisome. They've
Yeah.
gotten back down to 4.3 right now. But again, it feels like they have to really get into that market and print a lot of money and because nobody's buying these bonds right now. I mean, the rest of the world is selling them and they're going into gold. Central banks around the world are getting out of US treasuries and they're moving into precious metals. And I don't see that trend ending anytime soon. So I think that's the biggest risk in the whole global market right now is the US treasury market. It's the biggest market in the world and it's the one that seems to be under the most pressure right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And for silver, why do you think there's such a huge difference between silver and gold? Like we're at 104 ounces, 104 to 1 for, the for silver to gold ratio. And usually historically, I was talking to a few bullion dealers in the past couple of weeks, and they said that's only happened 4 times in history. In the past 100 or 200 years, it's only been 4 times where the gold silver to ratio has been 100 to 1. Why do you think the divergence is so big right now? Is it because of manipulation or what are the thoughts
I think
there?
it's a combination of things, but like I said earlier, I think the central banks are buying gold right now. They're not loading on silver yet. Again, silver's too important of a commodity for the world for central banks to start buying in big numbers. They don't want to really rock the boat, and they obviously want to keep these prices of silver suppressed. It's been their goal for decades. So we haven't seen real true price of silver for a long, long time. But I think we're getting close. We're getting really, really close to that happening. And you're starting to see the deliveries on the COMEX larger than they've ever been in history. Last month, I think it was 81 million ounces that they had to deliver. If we see that trend continue in May, and you start seeing deliveries up in that 70, 80 million ounce range, I think you could potentially see some type of event in the COMEX where they may not be able to deliver and they're forced to settle in fiat currency. If that were to happen, I mean, that would be the game changer of the precious metals market, specifically silver. People would rush out of the ETFs and get into the real physical. And if that were to happen, I think overnight the physical silver in the world would run out. I mean, that's how scarce of a commodity it is.
Right.
When we saw people rushing into silver during COVID, we were waiting up to 4 months to get physical silver from our wholesalers.
That's
And
crazy.
it was nuts. And it was only a week wait time. Within 2 weeks, it went to 4 months. So that's how scarce it is. And I think something very similar is going to happen this time around. Whenever there's some type of event that happens, let's just say a bank fails in the US as an example, and people start rushing in the metals, I think that is what's going to eventually drive the price of silver to a much, much higher price. When that physical constraint actually shows itself and it's difficult to get and the premiums start to skyrocket, I think that transition will be when you'll start to see the price of silver finally take off.
If you're a gold owner, you already know about all the ways precious metals can hedge yourself against financial instability. Monetary Metals is revolutionizing how people can invest in gold and silver. Right now, there's opportunities for you to earn 4% interest on your gold paid in gold in their marketplace. Now is the time to secure your wealth in an asset that the government can't inflate away. Join thousands of investors earning interest in physical gold and silver every single month with Monetary Metals. Grow your gold over time so that you're not just preserving, but growing your wealth in an asset that can't get inflated away by just printing more money. Visit the link in the description below to get started now.
Off.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there's a lot of people in our community, new members, young and old, but they're first time getting into silver and gold. What would be your advice to them, Michael? How would you give them a little bit of guidance and, what would you tell them to look out for?
Honestly, when you're looking to buy gold or silver, I would look at that gold silver ratio as your first indicator in terms of what you should be investing in. Personally, I'm only buying silver right now. I own gold, but silver is a big portion of my precious metals portfolio, and that's going to continue as long as the ratio is as high as it is. Because, like you said earlier, the ratio should be closer. It used to be based off of what came out of the ground. They used to mine 15 ounces of silver, 16 ounces of silver for every 1 ounce of gold. So that was the ratio for over 1,000 years. Right now, we're at 105 to 1. Meanwhile, it's coming out of the ground at 7 or 8 to 1. So that ratio should literally be closer to 7, 8 to 1. And we're at 105. So for that reason, in my opinion, silver's got a lot more upside opportunity, at least 1,000% more, which is what it did in the 1970s.
Right.
I like to look at that decade to compare our current decade to where we saw stagflation, we saw a major slowdown in the economy, major inflation. The only difference between now and then is they're not going to be able to raise the interest rates to stop that inflation like they did in 1980, where they raised rates to 20%, even though inflation was only 15%. Right now, we were seeing 9% inflation in Canada. They only were able to raise interest rates to 5%. So they only got halfway there, and they had to lower them again. They're already back down to 2.75% in Canada, because our economy can't handle a high interest rates. So I think that is the big difference, and I think you're going to see that play out, because in the last 10% of the bull market in commodities is when you see silver specifically take off. Like in 1980, it went from $6 to $50 in a year.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Crazy. And I think something similar is going to play out this time around. I think you're going to see silver. Let's just say it gets above 50 this year. Maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, we'll go from 50 or $100 to $1,000.
Oh yeah,
Or
that'd be wild.
it would, but it would take something major like a default on the COMEX or something like that, which a lot of precious metals experts believe will be the end game of the precious metals manipulation. Because until they run out of physical silver, they're going to be able to manipulate as long as they want. We're at their mercy. It's their game, and they set the prices to whatever they want to set them at. So until people start really buying the physical in bigger amounts, I think you'll see the manipulation continue.
Hello, my fellow silver and gold stacker. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching the channel. Subscribe, please like the video, and also hit the notification bell. keep stacking. Yeah, absolutely. Now, you've given your advice to the new silver and gold stackers that are got into the community who are trying to protect their wealth. Um, what would you say, I guess, to the average Joe out there who does no idea about silver and gold? What would you say to them, Michael?
My advice would be to go to your local coin dealer and have a conversation. They are very knowledgeable. I mean, I've talked to a lot of these guys and they're all similar to me. They might have their own podcast or they talk about gold and silver every single day, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
that's what they know and they love it. And they would love to spend the time with you. They will give you that time. Most of these guys will offer you free consultations. We do here. We'll sit down with you a half hour, an hour, talk to you about your current needs, why you're looking to invest in precious metals, we tell them where we see better opportunity, whether they should be buying government minted versus privately minted, whether they should be buying the physical versus the ETF. Obviously, buy the physical. ETFs are not what they make them seem to be. I mean, they don't actually have the physical commodity backing that paper derivative. Is
Right.
all you have is a derivative of that asset, and one day that derivative will be probably worthless. It's just a matter of when. So I would say have that conversation. And if you really want to just run out of the gate and just go buy, I would say if you're going to rush in to buy something, buy silver, buy government minted. If you live in the US, buy US Eagles. If you live in Canada, buy the Maples. Because the premiums are really low on those right now. You're not paying that much more for those than you would be privately minted Buffaloes, for example. So
Right.
because the premiums are as low as they are right now, I personally would recommend the privately minted coins.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, Michael, this is your first time on Wall Street Bullion, and I hopefully it's not your last. As the market develops, would really, really love to have you back on in the future, because I know it's going to be an exciting year for precious metals. But I want to thank you so much for coming down. Everyone watching, please go support Michael. I'll put the links in the description below. But yeah, just, thank you so much for coming down, Michael.
Thanks for having me, Ivan. It was a pleasure.
Talk to you soon.
You too.